The shift has already begun. You may not see it yet, but the invisible is moving. Forces you cannot measure, hands you cannot see, and currents you cannot control are rearranging themselves in perfect harmony with what you have believed. The divine order is unfolding quietly, yet powerfully, behind the scenes of your life. Everything that once seemed delayed, denied, or dismissed was not rejection. It was realignment. The universe has never said no to your faith. It has only said wait until it fits. The divine is too precise to waste motion, too intentional to miss timing. What looked like silence was synchronization. This moment, this now, is the beginning of alignment. You are stepping into a vibration that matches your answered prayer. The outer world is finally catching up to your inner conviction. The doors that once resisted you are now recognizing your authority. The very atmosphere around you is changing because you have changed within. The divine shift begins the moment you believe differently. No thunder, no announcement, no spectacle, just a quiet certainty that whispers, "It is done." That whisper carries more power than any storm. Because when you know it within, reality must obey. The law of creation is simple. Your inner assumption determines your outer expression. Look closely. Things are starting to align in ways you could never have orchestrated. Inward. Story. The right people are being drawn into your orbit. The opportunities that once seemed random are now revealing divine pattern. What you once called coincidence is divine precision wearing disguise. Every encounter, every turn, every delay, it all fits the grand design. You are not waiting for the shift, you are living in it. Every day that you persist in faith, you strengthen the frequency of fulfillment. You are no longer trying to make things happen. You are allowing them to appear from the invisible blueprint already finished within you. Your only work now is to remain still in knowing, not anxious, not doubtful, just knowing. Because the divine doesn't respond to panic, it responds to peace. The still heart is the creative heart. The calm mind is the magnetic mind. So, breathe. The shift is not coming, it has begun. Everything is aligning in your favor, not by force, but by flow. Not by striving, but by surrender. The old pattern has dissolved. The new order is taking form. Stay in the feeling of fulfillment. Speak only from completion. Walk as though the prayer has already been answered, because in truth it has. The divine shift is now. Everything, and I mean everything, is aligning in your favor. Before anything takes shape in the physical, it must first be born in the unseen. Every visible manifestation begins as an invisible vibration, an image, a feeling, a conviction that exists only within. The unseen realm is not distant or abstract. It is the creative workshop of reality, the place where every outcome is conceived long before the world can behold it. You may think that what you see is all there is, but what you see is only the echo of what has already been formed in spirit. The invisible moves first, and the visible follows its lead. The thoughts you entertain, the emotions you dwell in, and the visions you consistently hold within your imagination are not idle. They are blueprints. They are patterns of energy shaping themselves into form. When you imagine with intention, you are not escaping reality, you are constructing it. The moment you feel something as real within, the unseen realm begins to rearrange itself to match that feeling. This is why your inner world matters far more than your outer conditions. The outer is simply a mirror, a faithful servant to the state of consciousness you occupy within. Think of it like a seed planted in the soil. You cannot see its growth beneath the ground, but it is alive, expanding, preparing to break through the surface. If you were to dig it up to check its progress, you would interrupt the process. The same is true with your desires. When you plant an intention in your imagination and nurture it with faith, something invisible begins to move, something more intelligent than logic and more powerful than effort. The unseen realm knows the way. It begins to orchestrate circumstances, attract people, and align opportunities in ways your rational mind could never predict. The patient tonight, patient, you don't need to understand how it happens, you only need to sustain the inner picture and the corresponding feeling. Doubt interrupts creation, faith accelerates it. Every time you return to the feeling of fulfillment, you are watering your seed in the unseen. Every time you rehearse limitation or fear, you delay its unfolding. What you continually imagine becomes the command you give to the creative substance of the universe. So, if you want to change the outer, you must first honor the inner. Stop trying to manipulate the external world by force. Instead, return to the quiet sanctuary of imagination. Close your eyes and see yourself as already having what you seek. Feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude of its completion. Stay there until it feels natural. In that invisible moment, creation begins. You have set the unseen in motion, and it will not rest until it becomes visible. The unseen realm is the first cause of all things. It is not delayed, it is deliberate. Everything you will ever touch, hold, or experience begins as a feeling within, and when that feeling becomes your inner reality, it must soon become your outer one. And now everything begins within you. Your inner state, your mood, belief, and feeling is the creative force behind all that unfolds in your life. The outer world is not the cause of your emotions or experiences. It is the reflection of them. The mistake most people make is thinking that life happens to them, when in truth it happens through them. You are not a passive observer of circumstances, you are their origin. Reality bends itself to the vibration you consistently sustain in consciousness, not to the conditions you react to on the surface. The moment you understand this, you stop chasing change in the outer world and begin transforming the world within. Everything you see is a mirror showing you the state of consciousness you dwell in most often. If you carry fear, life will reflect reasons to fear. If you hold peace, the world will mirror peace back to you. When you walk in assurance, opportunities seem to open effortlessly because the vibration of confidence calls forth experiences that match it. You are always creating, whether consciously or unconsciously, because consciousness is creative by its very nature. Many spend their lives reacting to what they see, trying to fix external situations without realizing that they are merely rearranging the mirror rather than changing the face it reflects. If you desire different results, you must assume a different state of being. When you shift your inner tone, the outer picture must eventually conform to that frequency. The law is immutable, as within, so without. So, This means that your focus should never be on the problem itself, but on the state of consciousness that transcends the problem. You do not fight darkness, you turn on the light. Likewise, you do not struggle against unwanted circumstances, you rise into the awareness of a higher truth. When you embody the feeling of being whole, abundant, or loved, the outer world has no choice but to reshape itself accordingly. You are not bound by appearances unless you give them power through your attention. The vibration you sustain is your command to the universe. It is not your words that hold the greatest creative authority, it is the feeling behind them. When you speak from lack, even with positive words, you affirm the very state of absence. But when you speak from fulfillment, every word carries creative energy that magnetizes its own confirmation. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you feel you already are. So guard your inner state with sacred awareness. Do not let conditions dictate your consciousness. Let your consciousness dictate your conditions. Choose the state you wish to live from and dwell there until it becomes natural. When peace becomes your home, life cannot bring you chaos. When abundance becomes your identity, life cannot mirror scarcity. The cause is always within. The world merely echoes the vibration you sustain in the silence of your being. Every delay in your life carries divine intelligence within it. What you perceive as waiting is not wasted time. It is divine synchronization unfolding with perfect precision. The universe is never late, never early, and never uncertain. It operates according to a rhythm higher than human understanding, a rhythm of divine order. While your human self may crave immediacy, the divine self knows that true alignment requires orchestration, not urgency. What seems delayed to you is actually being arranged for you. You see only a fragment of the picture, but the universe sees the entire tapestry. It knows the perfect moment for everything to meet, the right sequence for every event, and the ideal alignment for every manifestation. The delay is not denial, it is divine choreography. Each piece must move into place before the masterpiece can reveal itself. When you force timing, you interrupt divine flow, but when you trust timing, you become one with it. Impatience is the illusion that life is off schedule. It's the voice of fear that says, if it hasn't happened yet, it might never happen. But divine timing whispers, it's already done. It's just aligning. What looks like nothing happening is often the universe moving everything. People are being prepared, circumstances are being adjusted, and you are being refined to hold what you have asked for. The waiting period is not punishment, it's preparation. You are being molded into the version of yourself capable of sustaining what you desire. Think of it as the pause between seed and harvest. You don't plant a seed and demand fruit the next morning. You understand that unseen processes are at work. Roots growing, soil nourishing, light guiding. So it is with your dreams. The divine must first arrange invisible elements before visible manifestation can occur. When you understand this, waiting becomes worship. You stop worrying about when and start trusting that divine timing never fails. It aligns with perfection that no human hand can improve. The very delay you resent today will one day reveal itself as protection. The things that didn't happen when you wanted them to often turn out to be the greatest blessings in disguise. Because divine order is not about convenience, it's about completeness. It doesn't deliver partial answers or fragile victories, it delivers fulfillment that stands the test of time. So rest in the rhythm of divine synchronization. When it seems like nothing is happening, remind yourself that everything is happening. The pieces are moving, the threads are weaving, and the timing is aligning. You have not been forgotten, you have been scheduled. The divine is never in a hurry, but always on time. Trust the pauses, honor the process, and stay rooted in faith. The delay is not your detour, it's your divine alignment. Everything is moving exactly as it should. And when the moment is right, what you've been waiting for will arrive effortlessly. And you will see that the delay was the divine at work all along. Every delay in your life carries divine intelligence within it. What you perceive as waiting is not wasted time. It is divine synchronization unfolding with perfect precision. The universe is never late, never early, and never uncertain. It operates according to a rhythm higher than human understanding, a rhythm of divine order. While your human self may crave immediacy, the divine self knows that true alignment requires orchestration, not urgency. What seems delayed to you is actually being arranged for you. You see only a fragment of the picture, but the universe sees the entire tapestry. It knows the perfect moment for everything to meet, the right sequence for every event, and the ideal alignment for every manifestation. The delay is not denial, it is divine choreography. Each piece must move into place before the masterpiece can reveal itself. When you force timing, you interrupt divine flow. But when you trust timing, you become one with it. Impatience is the illusion that life is off schedule. It's the voice of fear that says if it hasn't happened yet, it might never happen. But divine timing whispers, it's already done, it's just aligning. What looks like nothing happening is often the universe moving everything. People are being prepared, circumstances are being adjusted, and you are being refined to hold what you have asked for. The waiting period is not punishment, it's preparation. You are being molded into the version of yourself capable of sustaining what you desire. Think of it as the pause between seed and harvest. You don't plant a seed and demand fruit the next morning. You understand that unseen processes are at work, roots growing, soil nourishing, light guiding. So it is with your dreams. The divine must first arrange invisible elements before visible manifestation can occur. When you understand this, waiting becomes worship. You stop worrying about when and start trusting that divine timing never fails. It aligns with perfection that no human hand can improve. The very delay you resent today will one day reveal itself as protection. The things that didn't happen when you wanted them to often turn out to be the greatest blessings in disguise. Because divine order is not about convenience, it's about completeness. It doesn't deliver partial answers or fragile victories, it delivers fulfillment that stands the test of time. So rest in the rhythm of divine synchronization. When it seems like nothing is happening, remind yourself that everything is happening. The pieces are moving, the threads are weaving, and the timing is aligning. You have not been forgotten, you have been scheduled. The divine is never in a hurry, but always on time. Trust the pauses, honor the process, and stay rooted in faith. The delay is not your detour, it's your divine alignment. Everything is moving exactly as it should, and when the moment is right, what you've been waiting for will arrive effortlessly, and you will see that the delay was the divine at work all along. The secret to transformation lies not in striving, but in assuming fulfillment. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you step into the vibration of completion. The universe responds not to effort, but to embodiment. The moment you inwardly accept that what you desire is already yours, something begins to move. A divine shift awakens, unseen but unstoppable. Consciousness always creates completion before action ever confirms it. What you feel as real within becomes the seed of the world you will soon experience. Most people live from the place of struggle. They see lack, they feel absence, and they react to it by trying harder. But this constant struggle only affirms separation from what they seek. The universe mirrors their striving by keeping fulfillment at a distance. When you struggle to become, you declare you are not yet. But when you assume you already are, life must rearrange itself to match that truth. The inner acceptance is the beginning of manifestation. It's not pretending, it's positioning. To assume fulfillment is to think, feel, and live from the end. It's to walk as though the promise is already kept. It's to let gratitude replace yearning, to let calm replace chaos, and to let certainty replace doubt. You no longer look at the world for evidence of your desire. You rest in the invisible knowing that it is done. In that moment of surrender, creation begins. Because faith does not wait for proof, it creates the proof. Every fulfilled vision first lived as a feeling of completion in someone's heart. The artist sees the painting finished before the brush ever touches the canvas. The builder walks through the completed house in imagination long before the first brick is laid. The same principle governs all creation. The inner assumption precedes the outer confirmation. You cannot receive what you do not first believe yourself to already possess. When you assume fulfillment, your actions flow with ease. You are no longer acting to make something happen, you are acting from the awareness that it already has. This shift in consciousness dissolves struggle, because struggle only exists where there is separation between desire and possession. In fulfillment, there is no gap to bridge. You are no longer chasing the blessing, you are expressing it. So close your eyes and dwell in the feeling of completion. Feel the satisfaction of it being done. Let that emotion saturate your being until it feels natural. The world will follow your inner tone like a faithful servant. The conversations, opportunities, and synchronicities required to confirm your inner knowing will unfold without strain. This is the divine paradox. When you stop trying to make it happen, it happens. When you stop asking when, the answer appears now. The shift begins not when you do more, but when you believe deeper. So assume the fulfillment, not the struggle. Live as though it is already done, because in truth, it is. The outer world is not random, it is responsive. Everything around you is constantly rearranging itself to mirror the conviction you hold within. Your inner belief is not a passive thought. It is a magnetic command that organizes the external according to its vibration. The moment you declare something with unwavering faith, life begins to conspire in your favor. People you have never met are being moved into position. Events are shifting, opportunities are being orchestrated, and paths are opening. All to reflect the state you have assumed within yourself. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the center of divine coordination. The external world is your mirror, and your conviction is the artist shaping its reflection. Every strong belief becomes an unseen force of gravity, drawing toward you all that harmonizes with its frequency. When you hold an inner knowing that something is already yours, reality bends to make it so. You don't need to chase it. It must come. because your conviction has already claimed it in the invisible. This is why you must treat your inner declarations with reverence. Every time you speak from certainty, you set a new order in motion. The universe listens not to doubt, but to dominance, the tone of belief that does not waver. When you know something deeply, creation rushes to confirm it. The external begins its sacred rearrangement. You may not see it at first, but behind the curtain of time, everything is moving with divine precision to fulfill your inner word. This alignment is not forced, it is fluid. The people who can elevate your vision will appear at the perfect moment. The doors that seemed sealed will suddenly open without effort. The resources you need will find their way to you through unexpected channels. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The external world is responding to the conviction you dared to sustain when evidence was still absent. But this process demands faith over sight. Many give up too soon, doubting because the rearrangement is invisible at first. Yet even when nothing seems to change, the unseen gears are turning. The moment you hold fast to your conviction, reality begins to yield. The invisible hand of divine order starts connecting the threads of your destiny. What once appeared delayed will soon reveal itself as perfectly timed. To guard your conviction as sacred ground, do not let outer appearances shake what you know to be true within. Speak your declaration, feel its reality, and rest in assurance. The external has no choice but to conform. You are not waiting for alignment, it is already in progress. The universe is a faithful servant to the one who knows. Every detail, every encounter, every opportunity is finding its rightful place, drawn by the silent magnetism of your conviction. The outer must always bow to the inner, for it is the inner that commands and the external that obeys. Faith is not passive waiting, it is active knowing. It is the quiet, unwavering assurance that what you have believed is already finished in the unseen. Faith is not hoping something will happen one day, it is knowing that it has already happened in the invisible and therefore must appear in the visible. True faith doesn't beg, chase, or worry, it rests in divine certainty. When you stand still in that sacred assurance, all of creation moves to honor your inner conviction. Faith begins where sight ends. It sees beyond appearances and trusts the invisible pattern unfolding beneath them. While the natural mind demands proof, faith operates from completion. It looks at the invisible and declares, "It is done." This declaration is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are aligning yourself with divine order, affirming that the unseen is more real than the seen and that divine timing cannot fail. When you enter this stillness of certainty, you are no longer striving for manifestation, you are magnetizing it. The universe responds to certainty like a servant to a master's call. The moment you stand firm in knowing, creation begins to rearrange itself to match your conviction. Doors that were closed begin to open. People begin to appear. Circumstances start to shift. Yet none of this comes through struggle. It comes through stability. Faith doesn't move mountains by pushing them. It moves them by standing so sure that they must yield to its presence. The power of faith lies not in effort, but in rest. Stillness is not inactivity, it is authority. When you are still in knowing, you are not frozen in fear, you are grounded in divine truth. You no longer chase outcomes because you understand that the outcome is already set in motion. You cease to worry about timing because you know divine order is precise. You stop questioning if it will happen and begin thanking that it already has. In this vibration of gratitude and certainty, creation aligns itself with speed and grace. Faith is not loud. It doesn't need to convince, defend, or prove itself. It simply is. It speaks silently through calm confidence, through peace that defies logic, through joy in the middle of uncertainty. The one who walks in faith walks with quiet authority, knowing that the entire universe bends toward the vibration of belief. You don't chase blessings when you know you are the vessel through which they flow. So stand still. Let your stillness declare your trust. Let your calm be your testimony. When everything in the outer world seems unsteady, remain anchored in the invisible reality that all is working in divine order. You are not waiting for life to respond. Life is waiting for your knowing. The moment you rest in that knowing, creation begins to move, swiftly, silently, powerfully, to honor your faith. Because faith is never about waiting for proof, it is the proof. The divine shift is not coming. It has already begun. Everything you've walked through, every delay, every closed door, every unseen battle was part of the orchestration that brought you to this moment. The unseen realm has been moving on your behalf all along, arranging what your eyes could not yet see. Your inner state has shaped your world, your faith has summoned alignment, and your conviction has called forth divine order. Now, the invisible is becoming visible. You are standing in a season where all things are being synchronized for your good. The external world is rearranging itself around your inner certainty. What once resisted you will now recognize you. The very ground beneath you is shifting to support what you believed in silence. Stay steady in knowing. Stay calm in conviction. The divine has not forgotten you. It has been preparing you. This is your time to rest in assurance and to walk as though it is already done. Because it is. The divine shift has begun, and everything, every person, every circumstance, every opportunity is aligning in your favor. Thank you for listening, and remember, your faith is the force that moves the unseen. Stay in the knowing and watch how the universe responds to your certainty. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You have already won. The race is over. The prize is yours. The dream is fulfilled. How does it feel? What would you do differently if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that victory was already yours? Most people live in a state of waiting for success, for recognition, for love, for wealth. They believe that once they receive it, then they will feel worthy, confident, or secure. But this is an illusion. The truth is that your external world does not shape your inner state. Your inner state shapes your external world. You must act as if you have already won, not in arrogance, not in desperation, but in quiet, unwavering certainty. When you truly believe in your success, your actions, thoughts, and energy align with that reality. You walk differently, you speak differently, you expect good things to come to you. This is not about pretending, it is about knowing. The one who has already won does not chase, beg, or doubt. They do not look for proof. They are the proof. They wake up each day with an unshakable conviction that their desires are already on their way. The world will try to contradict you. It will present temporary setbacks, delays, and illusions of lack. But these are not real. They are remnants of an old belief system you are leaving behind. Ignore them. Persist in your new state of being. Hold fast to the feeling of already having, and the world will bow to your assumption. There is no need to wait for the physical evidence before you believe. The evidence comes after the belief, not before. If you desire wealth, carry yourself with the calm confidence of someone who is already wealthy. If you desire love, walk as though you are already cherished beyond measure. If you seek success, move through the world as someone who has already achieved it. Your only job is to remain faithful to this assumption. It is not about effort or struggle. The moment you assume the state of already having, the universe sets in motion all that is required for it to become your tangible reality. You have already won. Now act like it. Your life is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting back to you the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions you consistently entertain. Everything you see, everything you experience is simply a manifestation of the inner world you have cultivated. This truth is both liberating and daunting, for it means that nothing outside of you has any real control over your destiny. You are not at the mercy of circumstances, luck, or the will of others. The power is and has always been within you. When you act from the assumption that you have already won, the world must conform to that belief. It cannot resist, for reality is fluid. It bends and shapes itself according to your dominant state of mind. If you walk through life feeling as though you lack something, you will encounter situations that affirm that lack. If you see yourself as a failure, life will provide evidence to support that assumption. But the moment you shift your internal state and declare yourself victorious, not in some distant future, but here and now, the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself in alignment with your conviction. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law of consciousness. The unseen world of your thoughts and emotions is the true cause. What you experience in the physical world is merely the effect. Most people believe the opposite. They think that when their circumstances change, then they will feel differently. They wait for success before they allow themselves to feel successful. They wait for love before they feel loved. They wait for wealth before they feel abundant. But this is an illusion. The outer world cannot change until the inner world does. If you knew with absolute certainty that you had already won, that the success, the love, the wealth, the fulfillment were all yours, how would you feel? How would you carry yourself? Would you walk with hesitation, or would you move with confidence? Would you second guess your decisions, or would you trust yourself completely? The person who knows they have already won does not beg, does not chase, does not fear. They do not look for evidence. They are the evidence. Their very presence declares that they have arrived. And so you must assume the same. You must take on the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live from that place now. Not tomorrow, not when things begin to shift. Now. When you do, something extraordinary happens. Doors begin to open where before there were none. People begin to respond to you differently. Opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly fall into place. It is not magic. It is the natural consequence of embodying a new state of being. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. The moment you question whether it is working, whether reality is truly changing, you are affirming that you do not yet have what you desire. And so you must persist in the assumption. You must refuse to be swayed by the temporary illusion of the senses. If the world has not yet shown you proof, it does not matter. Your belief is the proof. When you act as if you have already won, you send a powerful message to the universe. This is who I am. And the universe responds in kind, rearranging itself to reflect your new identity. You will notice that circumstances shift effortlessly, that what once seemed difficult now unfolds with ease. This is not because the world has suddenly become easier. It is because you have changed. Your energy, your frequency, your entire way of being has aligned with the reality you desire, and so it becomes your experience. There is no need to struggle, to fight, to force things into place. The only work required is internal. Align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality you wish to experience, and the world will mold itself accordingly. Remember, it is not about pretending. It is about knowing. The moment you accept your victory as an absolute truth, life must bow to your assumption. Everything that exists in your life began first as a thought, a vision, an unseen idea that took root in your imagination. Before anything can be experienced in the physical world, it must first exist in the mind. Your imagination is not some idle playground of fantasies. It is the blueprint of your life. It is the creative force shaping your reality, the unseen architect constructing the world around you. What you mentally accept as true will inevitably manifest because your consciousness molds and directs the very fabric of reality. Most people do not realize the power of their imagination. They believe that what they see in the physical world is the ultimate reality, that their circumstances are fixed and beyond their control. But the truth is that your external world is merely a reflection of your internal state. Whatever you consistently assume, whatever you deeply believe to be true, will crystallize into your lived experience. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, if you hold the belief that success is difficult or unattainable, life will mirror that belief back to you. You will encounter obstacles, delays, and disappointments that seem to confirm your assumption. But these are not happening by chance. They are the result of the inner blueprint you have unconsciously accepted. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine seeing yourself as victorious, as someone who has already achieved all they desire. Imagine holding firm to this vision, not as a distant dream, but as an absolute fact. When you do this, life has no choice but to align with that vision. Circumstances shift, people respond to you differently, opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere. This is not coincidence, it is the law of consciousness in motion. The outer world must conform to the inner blueprint you have created. Many people make the mistake of using their imagination against themselves. They dwell on worst-case scenarios, replay past failures, and entertain fears of what could go wrong. Without realizing it, they are building a blueprint for struggle and disappointment. But the same power that can create failure can also create triumph. The key is to take control of your imagination and use it consciously. If you persistently imagine yourself as already successful, if you immerse yourself in the feeling of already having what you desire, your reality must shift to match that assumption. Doubt and fear may try to creep in, but they have no real power unless you accept them as true. The moment you allow your imagination to be dominated by fear, you are constructing a reality of limitation. But when you deliberately choose to see yourself as victorious, when you commit to that vision regardless of what the senses tell you, you begin to mold your world according to your desire. It is not about forcing things to happen, it is about assuming they already have. The one who knows they have already won does not question, does not chase, does not seek validation. They live from the state of already having, and in doing so they bring their vision to life. They do not need to see immediate proof because they understand that imagination precedes manifestation. What is real to them internally must become real externally. This is the secret that few understand. They wait for the world to change before they believe, but the truth is that belief must come first. Your imagination is the seed, and your unwavering assumption waters it into existence. You cannot plant a seed of doubt and expect a harvest of success. You must be disciplined in what you accept as true, for your mind is the soil in which your reality grows. The world will try to distract you, to convince you that things are the way they are and cannot be changed. But you must remember, everything you see was once unseen. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of success was first an idea in someone's mind. The only difference between those who create extraordinary lives and those who do not is the ability to hold firm to their vision, to see themselves as victorious before the evidence appears. You have this power within you. Use your imagination wisely. See yourself as you wish to be. Feel the reality of it now, and life will have no choice but to align with that vision. It is not enough to merely wish for a better life. Wishing implies separation, a longing for something that exists outside of you. Desire, when left unfulfilled, can become a state of lack, reinforcing the very absence of what you seek. But the moment you shift from wishing to knowing, from hoping to embodying, everything changes. The key is not to wait for success to appear before you feel it. You must feel it now, before any evidence shows itself. When you do, the world has no choice but to conform to that inner state. Your feelings are the bridge between imagination and reality. They are the creative force that shapes your experience. Every emotion you hold, every assumption you entertain, sends out a signal, a vibration that reality must reflect back to you. If you feel lack, the world will mirror lack. If you feel defeated, life will show you more reasons to feel defeated. But when you embody the feeling of success, when you walk, speak, and think as though you have already won, the external world has no choice but to align with your conviction. Most people believe that once they achieve success, then they will feel successful. They think that once they acquire wealth, then they will feel abundant. Once they find love, then they will feel loved. But this is an illusion. The outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state. It does not create your feelings, it reflects them. The truth is that you must first feel the joy, the triumph, the confidence, and then the circumstances will shift accordingly. Imagine yourself as the person you wish to become. How would you carry yourself if you already had everything you desired? How would you speak? How would you walk into a room? Would you be hesitant, filled with doubt, questioning whether success is possible? Or would you move with certainty, knowing that you have already won? The person who knows they are successful does not wait for confirmation from the world. They are the confirmation. Their presence declares their triumph before anyone else can see it. This is not about pretending. It is about embodying. Pretending implies effort, struggle, an attempt to convince yourself of something you do not truly believe. But embodiment is effortless. It is a deep inner knowing that what you desire is already yours. It is the understanding that success is not something you chase, it is something you become. When you adopt this mindset, you no longer feel separate from your dreams. You no longer see them as distant possibilities, but as inevitable realities. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. The moment you begin to question whether it is working, whether things are truly shifting, you step out of the feeling of success and back into a state of lack. This is why persistence is necessary. You must hold on to the feeling even when the world has not yet caught up. The unseen reality you have created within will eventually take form, but only if you do not waver. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If you want wealth but feel poor, you will remain in a state of lack. If you want love but feel unworthy, you will continue to experience loneliness. But if you embody abundance, if you carry yourself with the certainty of someone who is already wealthy, if you radiate the confidence of someone who is deeply loved, then life must reflect that truth back to you. Everything begins within. There is no outside force deciding your fate, no external power controlling your destiny. The only force at work is your consciousness, your assumptions, your deeply held beliefs. The moment you decide to feel successful now, to embody the triumph before it appears, reality must shift to match your new state of being. It is law, it is inevitable. You are the creator of your experience. Act as if you have already won, and you will come to see that you have. The world you see with your physical eyes is nothing more than a reflection of your past thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. It is not the cause, it is the effect. Yet most people allow the evidence of the senses to dictate what they believe is possible. They look at their current circumstances and allow them to shape their mindset, not realizing that by doing so, they are simply reinforcing the very conditions they wish to change. If you desire wealth but look at your bank account and see lack, you may feel discouraged. If you wish to experience love but find yourself alone, you may begin to doubt. If you want success but see only failure, you might start to believe that it is beyond your reach. But this is the greatest deception of all, to trust what the senses tell you rather than the truth of your inner vision. What you see now is only a reflection of who you were, not of who you are becoming. The external world is always a step behind your consciousness. Reality does not change instantly, but that does not mean it is not shifting. When a seed is planted in the ground, you do not see immediate results. There is no visible proof that anything is happening beneath the soil. But if you persist in watering and nurturing it, in time, the seed must sprout. The same is true for the desires you hold in your imagination. The moment you assume something to be true, the process of its manifestation begins, even if the senses do not yet confirm it. The question is, will you persist in that assumption, or will you abandon it because the world has not yet shown you proof? Most people make the mistake of looking to their senses for validation. They say, "I will believe it when I see it." But this is backward thinking. You will see it when you believe it. The moment you truly accept something as real within, the world has no choice but to conform. However, if you waver, if you allow yourself to be discouraged by appearances, you uproot the very seed you planted. This is why persistence is the key. When you decide to assume victory, you must hold to that assumption, regardless of what the world presents to you. The senses may try to tell you that nothing is changing, that your circumstances remain the same, but do not be deceived. The unseen forces are at work. Reality is in the process of shifting, and if you persist, the world must yield to your assumption. There are those who, upon not seeing immediate results, give up too soon. They think it's not working and return to their old state of doubt and lack. But they do not realize that they were on the verge of success. Just because you cannot see the movement does not mean it is not happening. The greatest changes often occur beneath the surface, invisible to the human eye. The wise understand this and do not allow temporary appearances to dictate their belief. If you were truly victorious, would you question it? Would you look around and doubt? No, you would carry yourself with confidence, knowing that the victory is already yours. This is the attitude you must adopt now. You must act, think, and feel as if you already have what you desire, even when your senses suggest otherwise. You must refuse to be moved by the external world, instead remain loyal to the truth you have established within. The world will eventually catch up to your assumption, but only if you do not waver. If you persist, if you remain unmoved by appearances, then reality must bend to your will. It has no choice. It is law. Assume victory now, and despite what the senses tell you, hold firm to that assumption. In time, the world must reflect it. Doubt is the only enemy standing between you and the life you desire. It is not the external world, not circumstances, not the opinions of others. Only doubt within your own mind. You are always creating, whether you are aware of it or not. Every thought, every assumption, every belief is shaping your reality. The question is, are you creating from a place of faith or from a place of fear? Most people do not realize that their doubts are just as powerful as their faith. When you doubt, you are still using the same creative power, but you are directing it toward failure instead of success. The mind does not discriminate. It simply brings forth whatever you hold as true. If you persist in the belief that you will succeed, reality will conform to that assumption. But if you allow doubt to take hold, you will find yourself blocked at every turn. Doubt creeps in when you look to the external world for reassurance. You might have a strong vision of your success, but when you see no immediate proof, the mind begins to question. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm wrong? What if nothing changes? These thoughts seem harmless at first, but the moment you entertain them, you weaken your creative power. You start shifting your energy from certainty to hesitation, from confidence to fear, and the world, being a reflection of your state of mind, mirrors that hesitation back to you. But what if you refuse to doubt? What if you stood firm in the conviction that you have already won? The moment you believe it fully, doubt dissolves and the path unfolds effortlessly. This is because reality responds not to struggle but to certainty. It is only when you question and hesitate that obstacles appear. Imagine two individuals on a journey. One moves forward with absolute faith, knowing that they will reach their destination. The other stops every few steps, questioning if they are on the right path, hesitating, second-guessing, turning back to where they started. Who do you think will reach their goal? The answer is obvious. The one who persists without doubt, moves steadily, while the one who hesitates remains stuck. Life operates in the same way. The only thing keeping you from the fulfillment of your desires is your own uncertainty. Doubt is an illusion, a trick of the mind. It only exists because you allow it to exist. The moment you choose to discard it, to trust in your vision completely, everything changes. The world begins to shift, doors open, opportunities present themselves, and what once seemed impossible becomes effortless. This is not because circumstances changed on their own, but because you changed. Your inner state determines your outer world. If you truly knew that you had already won, how would you feel? How would you act? Would you question? Would you hesitate? No. You would walk with confidence, speak with certainty, and move forward without fear. This is the key. You must embody the state of already having what you seek, regardless of what the external world shows you. The moment you do this, reality bends to match your assumption. Every great achievement, every success story is built on faith, not doubt. Those who accomplish extraordinary things are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are the ones who refuse to entertain disbelief. They decide that their success is inevitable, and because they hold to that belief, it becomes their reality. You must do the same. Let go of doubt. Do not give it space in your mind. Instead, fill yourself with the absolute knowing that you have already won. The moment you do, the path will clear and life will move in your favor. It has no choice. Reality must reflect what you believe to be true. Most people spend their lives chasing after what they desire, believing that through effort, struggle, and persistence they will eventually attain it. They push, they fight, they work tirelessly, yet often the thing they seek seems just out of reach. This is because they are operating under a false assumption, the belief that they must force their reality to change. But true transformation does not come through struggle. It comes through assumption. To assume is to accept something as already true, as already yours, without the need for proof. It is to step into the state of having rather than the state of wanting. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you bypass all resistance. You do not ask when or how it will happen, because you no longer see it as something in the future, you know it as a present reality. The mind is always creating. It is either creating from a place of lack or from a place of fulfillment. When you chase something, you are affirming that it is separate from you, that it is something outside of your grasp. And so reality reflects this separation back to you, keeping you in a cycle of pursuit. But when you assume, you shift your entire being into a new state, a state in which the thing you desire is already yours. Imagine two people who desire wealth. One constantly chases it, working harder, seeking opportunities, worrying about money, always feeling like it is just beyond their reach. The other simply assumes the identity of someone who is already wealthy. They think, speak, and act as though abundance is a natural part of their life. They feel wealthy before the evidence appears. Over time, life begins to mirror this assumption, bringing circumstances, opportunities, and experiences that match their inner state. The world is not separate from you, it is a reflection of you. The moment you embody the version of yourself that has already attained what you desire, reality must align accordingly. This is not wishful thinking, it is a law of consciousness. Everything you experience is a projection of your inner world. When you stop chasing and start assuming, you remove all barriers between you and the fulfillment of your desires. This is why struggle is unnecessary. You do not need to force anything to happen, you only need to be it internally. If you were already in possession of what you seek, how would you feel? How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you move through life? Step into that version of yourself now. Act not as someone who hopes to receive, but as someone who already has. Most people resist this concept because they believe they must first see proof before they can feel the reality of their desire. But this is backward thinking. You do not wait for circumstances to change before you shift your state. You shift your state first, and then circumstances must follow. It has always been this way. Every great achievement, every remarkable transformation first began as an assumption held in the mind of its creator. You do not chase the air you breathe, you do not struggle to receive the sunlight. These things are effortlessly available to you. In the same way, what you desire is already available, it only requires your assumption. The moment you truly accept it within, the external world will rearrange itself to reflect that truth. Let go of the need to chase. Let go of the belief that struggle is necessary. Instead, step into the version of yourself who already has what you seek. Move through life from that place and watch as the world reshapes itself in response. This is the secret to effortless manifestation. Assume, and it must be. Everything you desire is already within your reach. Not through struggle, not through chasing, but through assumption. The world is simply a reflection of your inner state, mirroring back to you what you consistently hold as true. When you act as if you have already won, when you embody the feeling of success, when you refuse to be deceived by the evidence of the senses, life must conform to your assumption. Doubt is the only thing that stands in your way, but the moment you dissolve it, the path becomes effortless. You do not need to force, beg, or wait for proof. Assume your wish is already fulfilled. Walk with the confidence of someone who has already arrived. Live in the certainty that what you seek is already yours. Reality has no choice but to align with the state you persistently occupy. You are the creator of your experience. Choose to create from a place of faith, not fear. Choose to assume rather than chase. The moment you do, life will move in your favor in ways you never imagined. Thank you. Close your eyes for a moment and step into the feeling of already being the person you wish to be. Let go of effort, let go of wanting. You do not need to try to become, just assume you already are. What would change in your posture, your voice, your thoughts? If you were already wealthy, deeply loved, and completely fulfilled, how would you carry yourself? There is no hesitation, no questioning. You do not look around for proof because you are the proof. You do not seek validation because you already know. The mistake many make is believing that circumstances shape their identity, but the truth is, your identity shapes your circumstances. If you identify as one who has, your world will adjust accordingly. If you identify as one who lacks, your world will reflect that lack. Do not wait for the world to grant you permission to feel abundant. Feel abundant now. Act as if the doors are already open. Speak as if the opportunities have already arrived. Move as if success is inevitable. A wealthy man does not wish to be wealthy, he knows he is. A loved woman does not chase love, she knows she is adored. They do not doubt, they do not beg, they do not question. They live in the conviction that what is theirs cannot be taken from them. So I ask you, how would you act if you had everything you ever wanted? Act like that now, and soon the world will catch up to your belief. The world you see, the circumstances you experience, and the life you live are nothing more than a mirror of your internal state. Your reality is not separate from you. It is an extension of your thoughts, your beliefs, and most importantly, your assumptions. You are not at the mercy of fate, nor are you bound by external conditions. Instead, your assumptions about yourself determine the script that life follows. If you believe yourself to be fortunate, opportunities seem to arise effortlessly. If you see yourself as struggling, obstacles appear at every turn. This is not a coincidence. It is the natural order of consciousness. Life is always reflecting back to you what you assume to be true about yourself. It is not enough to simply wish for a better life. You must assume the state of being the person who already lives that better life. Your inner dialogue is the most powerful force shaping your reality. Every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, every silent conversation you have with yourself determines the experiences that unfold before you. If you constantly tell yourself that life is hard, that success is elusive, or that love always ends in disappointment, the world will affirm those beliefs with precision. It is not that the universe is against you, it is that it is responding perfectly to the script you have written. Consider for a moment the power of assumption. If a man walks into a room assuming he is confident, self-assured, and worthy, the world responds to him in kind. People sense his presence, respect his energy, and treat him accordingly. On the other hand, if that same man enters with an inner dialogue of doubt, fear, and insecurity, the world mirrors that back to him. He is overlooked, dismissed, or treated with indifference. The difference is not in the external world, it is in his state of being. Many make the mistake of trying to change the external without first changing the internal. They chase wealth without assuming the state of abundance. They seek love while still carrying the wounds of unworthiness. They long for success while believing deep down that they are not enough. This is why so many struggle, because they are trying to force a reality that contradicts their inner assumptions. The world does not respond to what you want, it responds to who you are in consciousness. You must first embody the state of the person who already has what you desire. If you wish to be wealthy, you must assume the mindset of one who is already prosperous. If you desire love, you must walk in the certainty that you are already cherished. This is not pretense or self-deception. It is the law of assumption in action. Imagine for a moment that you have already arrived at the life you desire. How would you think? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? If you truly believed in your success, you would no longer entertain thoughts of failure. If you were convinced of your worthiness, you would no longer tolerate situations that diminish you. This shift in consciousness is what creates change, not mere effort, not external validation, but a deep internal knowing. Every day, you have the power to rewrite the narrative of your life. Observe your inner dialogue. What are you saying to yourself? Are you reinforcing lack, limitation, and doubt, or are you affirming your abundance, confidence, and certainty? The world cannot help but conform to the dominant thoughts you hold about yourself. If you desire a different reality, change the way you see yourself and the world will follow. Reality is not something outside of you, it is within you. The moment you truly grasp this, you will no longer chase, struggle, or fight against circumstances. You will understand that all change begins within, and as you shift your assumptions, the external world must adjust accordingly. What you assume to be true will manifest, for life is simply a reflection of your inner state. The greatest mistake people make is believing that they must first see change before they can feel it. They wait for circumstances to improve, for money to appear, for love to arrive, or for success to be validated before they allow themselves to feel abundant, loved, or accomplished. But this is not how reality works. The external world is only a reflection of what is already established within you. If you want to experience something new, you must first feel it as if it is already yours. Every great transformation begins with an inner shift. The moment you allow yourself to feel differently without waiting for proof, you set unseen forces into motion. Most people, however, do the opposite. They let their emotions be dictated by what their senses report. If their bank account is empty, they feel lack. If they are single, they feel lonely. If their goals have not yet materialized, they feel defeated. But this is reacting to the world, not creating it. To change your reality, you must generate the feeling of already having what you desire. Consider how you would feel if everything you wanted were already yours. How would you wake up in the morning? What kind of confidence would you carry throughout the day? Would you feel stress, doubt, or desperation? Or would you move through life with a quiet certainty, knowing that all you desire is already in motion? The answer is clear. The version of you who has everything is not waiting, worrying, or questioning. That version of you is living in the fulfillment of your desires right now. This is the key. You must assume the feeling before the fact. Many dismiss this as mere imagination, but they fail to understand that imagination is the foundation of all creation. Every great success, every great invention, every great transformation first existed in the mind of someone who dared to feel it real before it became visible. A wealthy person does not feel broke. Even if they lose money, they maintain the inner state of abundance. and soon their reality adjusts. A loved person does not feel unworthy, even if they are momentarily alone. They remain in the vibration of love, and soon love must manifest. It is not the outer world that dictates the inner world. It is the inner world that shapes the outer. If you struggle to feel the reality of your desires, start small. Close your eyes and imagine yourself already in possession of what you seek. Not as a distant dream, but as a present reality. How does it feel? Let that feeling flood your body, saturate your mind, and anchor itself in your being. Do not wait for proof. Feel it first. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something against your will. It is about aligning your emotions with the truth of what is possible. It is about stepping into the state of the person who already has what you seek. When you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. Your external world begins to shift to match your internal state. Opportunities appear. People respond to you differently. Circumstances rearrange themselves in ways you could never predict. Most dismiss this process because they are too attached to their physical senses. They believe only what they can see, hear, and touch. But what is seen is only a reflection of what has already been imagined and felt. If you want something new, you must be willing to feel it real before you see it appear. The world does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are in consciousness. The moment you embody the feeling of already having, the world bends to mirror your state. This is not wishful thinking, this is the fundamental nature of reality. Feel it first, and soon you will see it. The greatest illusion that keeps people trapped in limitation is their reliance on the physical senses. They look at their bank accounts and decide they are poor. They see their empty home and believe they are alone. They observe their current job and assume they are stuck. This dependence on what is seen binds them to their present circumstances, preventing any true transformation. But the truth is this: what is unseen is more real than what is visible. The external world is nothing more than a reflection of the unseen world, the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions you hold within. To change your life, you must stop reacting to what your senses report. The physical world is always a step behind the unseen reality of your consciousness. What you see today is merely the result of yesterday's assumptions. If you wish to create something new, you cannot allow what is in front of you to dictate your state of being. Instead, you must live in the unseen. Act as though you already possess all you desire, and the physical world will be forced to conform. Consider a man who wishes to be wealthy. If he continues to focus on his current financial struggle, feeling the weight of lack, worrying about bills, and reaffirming the belief that he is poor, he is keeping himself locked in that state. His physical world will reflect his inner conviction, ensuring that he remains in a cycle of scarcity. But if this man chooses to detach from the evidence of his senses and instead steps into the assumption that he is already wealthy, something extraordinary happens. His thoughts, his energy, and his actions begin to shift. He no longer carries the burden of lack. He moves with the quiet confidence of a person who knows abundance is his. And soon, his external world must follow. This is not wishful thinking. It is a fundamental truth. The unseen world, your inner state, is the cause, and the physical world is the effect. If you spend your life reacting to effects, you remain a slave to them. But if you turn inward and create from the unseen, you take control of your destiny. You must ask yourself, do I trust the physical world more than I trust the unseen? If you rely only on what your senses show you, you will always be limited by your current reality. You will never escape the loop of repeating what already exists. But if you learn to detach, if you train yourself to see beyond appearances, you will discover that true power lies not in what is, but in what can be. The person who truly understands this principle does not waver when faced with external challenges. If they are met with rejection, they do not accept it as final. If they experience temporary setbacks, they do not dwell in frustration. They remain steadfast in their assumption, knowing that what they hold in consciousness must eventually materialize. Living in the unseen is not about ignoring reality. It is about shaping it. It is about refusing to let the temporary dictate the eternal. It is about holding the feeling of your desire fulfilled so firmly that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself in accordance with your belief. Everything you seek is already yours in the unseen. The love you desire, the success you long for, the freedom you crave, it already exists in consciousness. The only thing that stands between you and its manifestation is your willingness to assume it before your senses confirm it. The moment you stop reacting to appearances and start trusting in the unseen, everything begins to shift. Detach from what is, live in what can be, and soon what can be will become what is. There is a profound difference between those who have everything and those who struggle. It is not luck, nor is it chance. It is a state of being, a way of carrying oneself that commands reality to align with their assumptions. Those who have everything move through life with a quiet confidence, an unshakable knowing that they are worthy of abundance, success, love, and fulfillment. They do not question whether they deserve good things, they simply assume it as natural. And it is this assumption that shapes their world. You must ask yourself, how would you move if you already had everything you desire? How would you walk if you knew you were wealthy? How would you speak if you were already successful? How would you think if love, health, and joy were already yours? The answer is clear. You would not hesitate, you would not second guess, you would not shrink yourself or act from a place of lack. You would move with the confidence of ownership, and in doing so, you would naturally attract the very things you seek. Most people, however, do the opposite. They wait for external proof before they allow themselves to feel confident. They wait for money before they feel abundant. They wait for love before they feel worthy. They wait for success before they feel accomplished. But this is a backwards approach. The world is only a reflection of your state of being. If you wait for proof, you will never receive it. But if you embody the feeling first, reality must mirror it. Confidence is not arrogance. It is not forcing yourself to believe something that feels untrue. It is the quiet, unwavering knowing that what you desire is already yours. It is carrying yourself with the energy of someone who does not chase, beg, or hope. They simply expect. This expectation is a powerful force. It changes the way you think, the way you speak, the way you act. And as you shift internally, the external world must shift to match. Think of the people you admire. Those who seem to have life effortlessly work in their favor. What do they have in common? It is not struggle, it is not desperation, it is certainty. They move with an ease that tells the world, I belong here, I deserve this, I am worthy, and because they assume it, the world confirms it. This is the secret. You do not wait for permission. You do not wait for circumstances to convince you. You decide. You embody the feeling now, and the universe responds. This applies to every area of life. If you desire wealth, move as though wealth is already yours. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to be someone you are not. It means carrying the vibration of abundance, making decisions from a place of security rather than fear. If you desire love, carry yourself as though you are already deeply loved. You do not need to chase, convince, or prove your worth to anyone. Your very presence radiates self-assurance, and this energy draws love toward you effortlessly. If you desire success, think, speak, and act as though success is inevitable. When you believe in yourself without hesitation, others will too. The most powerful thing you can do is trust in your own worth. Stop waiting for the world to validate you. Stop looking for evidence before you believe in yourself. Decide now that you are already the person who has everything. Walk into every room with a quiet certainty that you belong. Speak with authority, think with conviction. This is not about pretending, it is about aligning with the truth that has always been within you. When you move with the confidence of ownership, you shift into the frequency of abundance. You stop chasing and things start coming to you. Opportunities appear, people respond differently, doors open. This is not magic, it is law. You receive what you are, so step into the version of yourself who already has it all, and soon your world will reflect it. Gratitude is the final step, the confirmation that you have fully assumed the reality you desire. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between the imagined and the manifested. Most people misunderstand gratitude, believing it is something to be expressed only after receiving a blessing. They wait until they physically see the money, the love, the success, and only then do they give thanks. But this is not how true creation works. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a cause. When you are grateful for what you do not yet physically see, you declare that it is already yours. You affirm that you have received it in the unseen, and therefore it must appear in the seen. This is the ultimate act of faith, the proof that you truly believe. And belief is what brings all things into existence. If you can thank the universe now, before the evidence arrives, you step into the version of yourself who already has everything you seek. And once you align with that version of yourself, your physical world must shift to match. Most people, however, operate from the opposite mindset. They focus on what they lack. They dwell on what is missing. They constantly reinforce their current reality by complaining, worrying, and doubting. In doing so, they keep themselves trapped in limitation, unable to break free. What they do not realize is that their state of being is the only thing holding them back. The moment they shift into gratitude, everything changes. Gratitude carries a frequency of abundance. It sends a clear signal to the universe: I already have what I desire, and I am thankful for it. This energy is magnetic. It pulls experiences, opportunities, and circumstances into alignment with your assumption. It is the difference between someone who waits in desperation and someone who walks in certainty. One is filled with doubt while the other is filled with confidence. And confidence always wins. Imagine two people seeking wealth. One constantly worries about money, feeling the weight of scarcity. Every thought, every word, every action reinforces the belief that they do not have enough. The other, however, wakes up each morning and gives thanks for their financial abundance, even if at the moment their bank account says otherwise. They do not beg, they do not plead, they do not worry, they simply live as though their wealth is already a reality. The first person remains stuck, trapped by their own assumptions. The second person, however, inevitably attracts wealth because they have already embodied it in consciousness. The same applies to love, success, health, and every other desire. If you want love, be grateful now, as though you are already in the most fulfilling relationship. If you want success, give thanks now, as though you have already achieved it. If you want perfect health, express gratitude for your body's strength and vitality, even before you feel it physically. The feeling of gratitude seals the deal. It confirms that you have shifted into the state where your desire is already fulfilled. And once you reach that state, manifestation is inevitable. The key is to make gratitude a daily practice. Not something you reserve for moments when things are going well, but something you choose regardless of circumstances. Each morning, give thanks for what you desire as though it has already come to pass. Feel it deeply. Let the emotion of gratitude fill your heart. You do not wait for proof. Proof comes after belief, not before. Understand that the universe is always responding to you. If you dwell in frustration, lack, or impatience, it mirrors that back to you. But if you dwell in gratitude, if you walk through life knowing that all you seek is already yours, the universe has no choice but to confirm it. This is law. Gratitude is not just a virtue, it is a tool. Use it and watch how effortlessly your world transforms. The world you see around you is not separate from you. It is not something happening to you, nor is it something beyond your control. It is in fact a reflection, a mirror of your inner world, a shadow cast by your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. The mistake most people make is believing that circumstances are the cause of their emotions, their identity, and their sense of self. But this is entirely backward. Circumstances are merely the effect. The cause lies within you. Change the cause and the effect must follow. Consider a mirror. If you frown at your reflection, the image frowns back. If you smile, the reflection smiles. You would never try to change the reflection by reaching into the mirror. You simply change your own expression. In the same way, if you wish to change your external reality, you must first shift what is happening within: your beliefs, your assumptions, your dominant state of being. All of these project onto the screen of reality, forming the experiences you call life. The external world is nothing more than a delayed photograph of your inner world. It does not instantly shift the moment you change within, but given time, the world must rearrange itself to match your new state. This is why persistence is key. Many people make a temporary change in their thinking, but when they do not see immediate results, they fall back into old patterns of doubt and fear. They do not realize that the world is still catching up to the new self-concept they briefly adopted. If they had remained firm in their new assumption, the reflection would have changed in time. To truly transform your life, you must first transform your mind. You must choose, with unwavering conviction, to see yourself differently. If you believe yourself to be wealthy, despite what your bank account says, the world will eventually confirm it. If you believe yourself to be loved, even when alone, the world will mirror that assumption back to you. If you believe yourself to be successful, regardless of what the present moment suggests, opportunities will inevitably appear. The world has no choice but to reflect what you hold as true within yourself. But what happens when you refuse to take control of your inner world? You become a prisoner of circumstance, reacting to whatever life throws at you instead of creating intentionally. This is how most people live. They see failure and assume they are failures. They experience rejection and assume they are unworthy. They struggle financially and assume they are destined for lack. But all of these conditions are merely the delayed reflection of old assumptions. The moment they shift their self-concept, the world must begin to rearrange accordingly. Your past does not matter. Your current circumstances do not matter. The only thing that truly matters is what you assume to be true about yourself now. If you have lived in lack, you can shift into wealth. If you have lived in loneliness, you can shift into love. If you have lived in struggle, you can shift into ease. The moment you take ownership of your inner world, the external world will bow to your new state. Understand that the world is never against you. It is simply responding to you. It has always been responding to you. If you look around and do not like what you see, do not fight the reflection. Change the source. Do not struggle against circumstances. Shift the mind that created them. Speak as the person who already has what they desire. Think as that person. Walk as that person. And soon the world will have no choice but to reflect your new self back to you. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. Everything you desire already exists within you. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. A delayed photograph of your dominant beliefs, assumptions, and emotions. If you wish to change your reality, you must first change the way you see yourself. Feel it before you see it. Detach from the physical and live in the unseen. Move with the confidence of ownership, knowing that you are already the person you aspire to be. Express gratitude as though you have already received your desires, for gratitude is the ultimate confirmation of belief. And most importantly, remember that the world is only mirroring you. Shift your self-concept and the reflection must change. There is no struggle in this. There is no need to chase, beg, or force. Simply assume, embody, and allow the world to align with your new state. Walk in faith, knowing that what you seek is already yours. When you truly understand this, life becomes effortless. Manifestation is no longer a process. It is a natural unfolding of who you are. Thank you. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in. Now tell yourself, I am already blessed with everything I desire. Say it, but more importantly, feel it. There is a great illusion in this world, one that keeps people trapped in a cycle of lack and limitation. It is the belief that you must first see something before you can believe it. But the truth is, what you believe, what you accept as real within your own mind, is what will shape your reality. You have been conditioned to wait for external proof. to let the world dictate what is possible for you. But what if I told you that everything you seek is already yours, if only you would dare to claim it? Walk through life as if you already possess the wealth, the love, the peace, and the joy you desire. Do not beg for blessings, do not chase them. Stand firm in the knowing that you are already divinely favored. Speak, think, and act in alignment with the reality you wish to experience. If you want abundance, act as if wealth flows effortlessly to you. If you want love, act as if you are already cherished beyond measure. If you desire health, carry yourself as one who is vibrant and whole. The world around you is only a reflection of the state within you. The moment you accept this truth, life will shift. The walls of limitation will crumble. Opportunities will appear where none seemed to exist before. People will treat you differently, for the energy you carry will command respect and admiration. But understand this: it is not a trick, it is not mere pretense, it is the law of creation itself. The moment you act as if you are already blessed, you become blessed. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. Your assumption, your unwavering belief is the seed. Nurture it with unwavering faith, and it will grow into the life you have always dreamed of. Will you continue to live by the illusion of lack, or will you step into the power that has always been yours? Act as if you are blessed with everything, and watch as the universe bends to reflect that truth. What you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, shapes the world you experience. This is not a theory, but a fundamental law of creation. Every event, every encounter, every opportunity or obstacle in your life is a direct reflection of your inner state. It is not the world that dictates your reality, but rather the assumptions you hold within yourself. Consider for a moment the life you desire. Perhaps it is a life of abundance, joy, love, and peace. The natural instinct is to look outside yourself, to seek validation from the world that these things are coming to you. But this is where most people go wrong. They wait for the world to change before they allow themselves to believe. They say, I will feel blessed once I have the money, once I find love, once my circumstances improve. They believe the outer world must shift first, and then they will adjust their beliefs accordingly. But this is not how reality works. The truth is, what you assume to be real within yourself will be what you experience outside of yourself. Your life is simply an echo of your most deeply held beliefs. If you assume that blessings are scarce, that you must struggle and fight for what you want, then life will mirror that back to you. You will find obstacles at every turn, and even when success comes, it will feel fleeting, uncertain, and difficult to maintain. But if you assume that you are already blessed, that everything you need is already yours, life will respond in kind. You will begin to see opportunities where you once saw barriers. People will treat you differently. Favor will seem to follow you, and circumstances will shift in ways that seem almost magical. But this is not magic. It is simply the law in action. Think about how the mind works. If you walk into a room assuming that no one likes you, your posture changes, your energy shifts, and your words carry uncertainty. And because of that, people respond to you with distance or indifference, reinforcing the very belief you walked in with. But if you enter that same room assuming that you are welcomed, valued, and appreciated, your entire presence changes. You carry yourself with confidence, you engage with ease, and others are drawn to you. It is not that the people changed, it is that you changed, and the world simply reflected it back. This is why assumption is so powerful. It is the silent force that determines what you experience. If you want a better life, you must assume a better reality now, not later, not when things improve. Now, you must carry yourself as though the blessings you desire are already yours. Speak as if you are already abundant. Walk as if you are already in possession of everything you have asked for. This may feel strange. The mind, conditioned by years of doubt and external validation, will resist. It will tell you that you are lying to yourself, that you are being unrealistic. But understand this: the only thing unrealistic is believing that you can continue thinking the same way and somehow receive a different outcome. You must be bold enough to assume the best for yourself, even when your senses tell you otherwise. If you truly believed you were already blessed, how would you think? How would you speak? How would you move through the world? Would you worry? Would you doubt? Would you hesitate? No. You would walk in faith, with certainty, with gratitude. And when you do, the world will begin to arrange itself to match your inner conviction. This is the secret that many never realize. They spend their lives reacting to circumstances rather than creating them. They allow their assumptions to be shaped by the external world instead of shaping the external world with their assumptions. But you do not have to live this way. You can take control of your reality. You can choose right now to assume that you are already blessed. And the moment you do, you set into motion the forces that will make it so. There is no power outside of you greater than the power within you. What you assume, you become. What you assume, you receive. Assume the best, assume abundance, assume favor, and watch as your world transforms before your eyes. Words alone hold no power unless they are infused with feeling. It is not enough to say, "I am blessed." If those words carry no weight within you, you must feel it deeply, as though it is already your reality. The emotions you cultivate within yourself determine the frequency you emit, and that frequency is what draws experiences to you. Consider the nature of feeling. When you experience genuine joy, does the world not seem brighter? When you are in love, does the simplest moment not feel extraordinary? These emotions do not come from the outside. They arise from within, shaping your perception of reality. The same is true for every aspect of life. If you desire abundance, you must feel abundant now, not later. If you seek love, you must embody the feeling of being loved before it appears externally. You do not wait for the world to confirm your blessings. You confirm them within yourself first, and the world will follow. The challenge for most people is that they rely too heavily on their senses. They look around and see lack, so they feel lack. They see loneliness, so they feel unloved. But this approach is backward. Your senses only reflect what you have previously accepted as true. If you want to change your experience, you must first change your feeling. You must abandon the need for external validation and cultivate the inner emotional state that matches the life you desire. This is not a matter of mere positive thinking. It is not about forcing yourself to feel something you do not truly believe. Rather, it is about sinking so deeply into the assumption of your desired reality that it becomes natural. It is about closing your eyes and imagining in vivid detail what it would feel like if everything you wanted was already yours. How would you carry yourself? How would you speak? What emotions would rise within you? The more you immerse yourself in these feelings, the more they become real to you. There is a reason why those who dwell in fear and anxiety often find themselves trapped in cycles of struggle. Their dominant emotions create a field of energy that attracts more of the same. They feel unworthy, and so they experience rejection. They feel lack, and so they struggle to attain abundance. But the moment you shift your inner state, when you allow yourself to truly feel blessed, you change the entire trajectory of your life. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to shift your feeling. When you give thanks, not just for what you already see, but for what you know is on its way, you align yourself with abundance. Gratitude is not a passive act. It is an energetic declaration that you have already received. It is an acknowledgement of the unseen reality that is waiting to unfold. When you feel grateful in advance, you create a powerful current that draws your blessings to you. Doubt has no place in this process. If you allow yourself to feel uncertainty, if you question whether or not your desire will come to pass, you disrupt the energy you are sending out. You must remain unwavering, holding firm to the feeling of already having what you seek. This does not mean forcing yourself to be happy all the time, but rather maintaining a deep, quiet confidence that your blessings are inevitable. Your emotions are the language of creation. The universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to the energy behind them. If you truly wish to transform your life, do not merely affirm it. Feel it. Feel the excitement of success before it arrives. Feel the love of a soulmate before they appear. Feel the security of wealth before it manifests. The more real these emotions become to you, the sooner your external world will reflect them. Everything begins within. Your emotions set the course for your life. Choose them wisely. Choose to feel blessed now, and the blessings will come. Do not wait for external proof before believing. The moment you place your faith in circumstances, you surrender your power. If you look at your current reality and say, "I will believe when I see the evidence," you are allowing the world to dictate what is possible for you. But the truth is, the world only reflects what you assume to be true. If you wish to transform your life, you must first transform your inner world. You must learn to live in the end, acting, thinking, and feeling as though your desires have already been fulfilled. Living in the end is not about pretending or playing make-believe. It is about aligning yourself with a state of being that matches the reality you wish to experience. When you hold a desire in your heart, that desire is not something separate from you. It is not something you must struggle to attain. It already exists in the infinite possibilities of creation. The only reason you do not yet see it in your world is that you have not fully assumed it as your present reality. Imagine for a moment that your desire is already fulfilled. What would your life look like? How would you think? How would you carry yourself? Would you still worry? Would you still doubt? Or would you walk with confidence, knowing that what you once longed for is now yours? This is the key. You must embody that state now. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the reality where it already exists. And when you maintain that state, your external world has no choice but to shift accordingly. The greatest mistake people make is waiting. They wait for their circumstances to change before they allow themselves to believe. They wait for money to appear before they feel abundant. They wait for love to arrive before they feel loved. But this approach only reinforces the lack they are trying to escape. If you wait for the world to prove something to you before you believe it, you will wait forever. You must first believe, and then the world will follow. Think of it this way. When an actor prepares for a role, they do not wait for the world to acknowledge them as the character before they embody it. They step into the role completely, adjusting their mannerisms, speech, and thoughts until they become the character. In the same way, you must step into the role of the person who already has what they desire. You must think, speak, and act as if it is already yours. This does not mean forcing yourself to be something you are not. It means realizing that everything you seek is already within you. Doubt is the only thing that delays manifestation. The moment you question whether or not your desire will come, you introduce resistance. You separate yourself from the reality where it is already yours. But when you hold firm to your assumption, when you persist in the belief that your blessing is already a fact, you dissolve the barriers that stand between you and its realization. Faith is not about hoping something will happen. It is about knowing that it already has happened in the unseen realm. It is about standing in certainty, regardless of what your senses tell you. If you truly believed your dream was already a reality, how would you behave? You would not stress, you would not beg, you would not chase, you would simply be. You would carry yourself with assurance, knowing that all is unfolding exactly as it should. This is the power of living in the end. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, you accelerate its arrival. You remove the obstacles of doubt and fear, allowing your reality to shift effortlessly. The world is not separate from you. It is a mirror of your inner state. The sooner you align yourself with your desired outcome, the sooner it will materialize. So do not wait, do not hesitate. Step into your new reality now, live in the end, and watch as the world reshapes itself to match your assumption. What you see in your life today is not a fixed reality. It is simply a reflection of past thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. The circumstances around you are not set in stone. They are fluid, always shifting in response to the inner world you cultivate. If you allow yourself to be deceived by what appears in front of you, you will remain trapped in a cycle of limitation. You must learn to ignore the present circumstances if they do not align with your desires. Do not let temporary appearances dictate what is possible for you. Instead, trust in the unseen power within you, knowing that your present reality is nothing more than a delayed echo of your previous state of mind. Most people fall into the trap of believing that what they see is all there is. They look at their financial struggles and assume they are destined for lack. They experience rejection and assume they are unworthy of love. But these external experiences are not ultimate truths. They are simply the manifestation of thoughts that have been consistently entertained in the past. If you accept them as permanent, you continue to feed the same cycle. However, if you recognize them for what they are, temporary reflections, you gain the power to create something new. The key to transformation is detachment from what appears to be real. This does not mean denying your current situation or pretending it does not exist. It means refusing to let it dictate what you believe about your future. If you desire wealth but your bank account shows otherwise, do not let that number define you. If you seek love but you are currently alone, do not let loneliness convince you that love is out of reach. The present moment is not a life sentence. It is merely a snapshot of where your consciousness has been. Change your consciousness and your reality must follow. To do this, you must cultivate a vision of what you truly desire and hold on to it regardless of what the physical world suggests. When doubts arise, remind yourself that what you see now is only a result of past thinking. It has no bearing on the future unless you allow it to. This is why those who persist in their assumptions, despite all evidence to the contrary, are the ones who ultimately succeed. They do not waver when things seem impossible. They know that the unseen world is more real than what appears in front of them. Imagine a seed planted in the soil. In the beginning, there is no visible sign of growth. If someone judged the seed's progress based only on what they could see, they might assume nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, the seed is taking root, preparing to emerge. The same is true for your desires. Just because you do not see them yet does not mean they are not unfolding. If you dig up the seed every day to check if it has grown, you only delay the process. You must trust that it is growing, even when there is no visible proof. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, but the unwavering conviction that what you have imagined is already on its way. Your job is not to question how or when it will appear. Your job is to remain steadfast in the assumption that it is already done. If you can do this, if you can resist the temptation to let the present moment shake your belief, you will witness your desires materializing before your eyes. Your power lies in your ability to ignore present limitations. No matter how things appear, remind yourself that you are not bound by them. You are the creator of your reality, and what you focus on will inevitably become your experience. Choose to see beyond the temporary. Choose to trust in the unseen. And most importantly, choose to believe in the power within you, knowing that what you seek is already yours. Gratitude is more than just a polite expression. It is a powerful force that shapes reality. When you give thanks in advance for what is unseen, you align yourself with the state of already having it. This alignment is what brings your desires into tangible form. Most people wait for their blessings to appear before they feel grateful, but that is not how creation works. If you truly understand the nature of your power, you will realize that gratitude is not a response to what has already happened. It is the very thing that causes it to happen. To give thanks before seeing evidence of your desire is to declare that you already possess it. This act of gratitude confirms your belief that your wish is fulfilled, and belief is the key that unlocks all manifestations. When you feel grateful for something, you are affirming its existence in your life, even if it has not yet appeared in the physical world. You are telling your subconscious mind that it is real. And since your subconscious mind governs the unfolding of your reality, it will bring forth the conditions necessary to match that assumption. Gratitude shifts your focus away from lack and into abundance. When you desire something but feel anxious, desperate, or doubtful, you are affirming that it is missing from your life. The more you dwell on its absence, the more you reinforce that state. But when you express gratitude as if it is already yours, you move out of lack and into the reality where it exists. The world can only reflect what you persistently assume to be true, and gratitude is the strongest affirmation that something already belongs to you. Imagine you have placed an order at a restaurant. You do not anxiously question whether the meal will arrive, you simply trust that it is being prepared. You may even thank the waiter before the food is on your table because you know it is coming. This is the same confidence you must have in your desires. You do not need to plead or beg the universe for what is already yours. Instead, express gratitude as if you are receiving it now and trust that it is on its way. The most effective way to practice this is to immerse yourself in the feeling of already having what you seek. If you desire financial prosperity, do not dwell on what is missing. Instead, feel grateful for the abundance that is already making its way to you. If you seek love, do not focus on loneliness. Instead, give thanks for the deep and fulfilling connection that is already yours in the unseen realm. The more real this gratitude feels, the faster your reality will shift to match it. Many people struggle with this concept because they allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. They look around and say, "I do not see it, so it must not exist." But manifestation does not begin with seeing. It begins with believing. The unseen world is the source of all that is visible, and your assumption is the bridge between the two. When you act in gratitude, you demonstrate faith in what is not yet seen, and that faith is what compels it into form. Think of gratitude as watering a seed. If you plant a seed and constantly worry about whether it will grow, you interfere with the process. But if you trust that it is already growing and care for it with faith, it flourishes. Your desires are no different. Give thanks as if they are already blossoming, and they will unfold in divine timing. So do not wait for proof before you give thanks. Speak words of gratitude as if your dream has already arrived. Feel the joy, the relief, the excitement of already having it. Let gratitude be your proof, and watch as the unseen transforms into reality before your very eyes. One of the greatest obstacles to receiving your desires is the need to control how they will come to you. The mind, conditioned by logic and past experiences, constantly tries to calculate, predict, and manipulate the path to manifestation. But the truth is, your job is not to figure out the how. Your only task is to assume that what you desire is already yours, and allow the unseen forces of creation to handle the details. When you try to control the process, you introduce resistance. You may begin to doubt, second guess, or worry about whether things are working in your favor. This tension disrupts the natural flow of manifestation because it signals to your subconscious mind that you are uncertain. Manifestation is not about effort or struggle, it is about trust. The moment you detach from how your desire will come, you create space for it to unfold effortlessly. Think of planting a seed. Once it is in the soil, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You simply trust that nature is taking care of it. You water it, give it sunlight, and allow it to develop in its own time. The same principle applies to your desires. The moment you assume them to be true, they are already set in motion. Your job is not to interfere with the process, but to remain in a state of knowing that they are unfolding perfectly. Many people delay their blessings because they get caught up in questioning how they will arrive. If they do not see immediate progress, they begin to doubt, worry, or try to force results. This is like someone who plants a seed and then constantly digs it up, preventing it from taking root. The unseen forces that govern reality are far more intelligent than the human mind can comprehend. They orchestrate events in ways that you could never predict or plan. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the assumption that what you desire is already done. Consider how effortlessly life unfolds when you allow it. Your body breathes without you needing to think about it. The sun rises and sets without your intervention. Nature moves in perfect harmony without force or struggle. The same effortless intelligence is at work in bringing your desires into form. When you release the need to control, you allow this intelligence to operate freely. Detachment from the how also prevents disappointment. When you fixate on a specific way your blessing must come, you limit the infinite possibilities available to you. You may believe that a particular job, person, or situation is the only path to your desire, but the unseen forces of creation always have a better way, one that aligns perfectly with your highest good. When you release rigid expectations and trust the process, you open yourself to outcomes far greater than you imagined. One of the most powerful ways to practice detachment is to live as if your desire has already manifested. If you knew for certain that your dream was on its way, would you stress over how it would happen? No, you would relax, enjoy life, and trust that it is unfolding. This state of knowing is what draws your blessing to you effortlessly. Another way to cultivate detachment is to remind yourself of past manifestations. Think of times when something you wanted came to you in an unexpected way. At some point you let go of worry and simply trusted, and that is when it arrived. Use these experiences as proof that the process works. The same unseen intelligence that brought you blessings before will do so again. Let go of the need to control. Stop trying to force outcomes. Assume your desire is already yours and let the unseen forces handle the rest. What is meant for you will arrive in the perfect way, at the perfect time, without struggle. Trust, relax, and allow. The key to receiving everything you desire lies in your ability to assume it is already yours. Your assumption shapes your reality, and the feeling of already having what you seek is the secret to manifesting it. By living in the end, ignoring present limitations, expressing gratitude in advance, and detaching from the how, you align yourself with the unseen forces of creation. The universe is always responding to your inner state, mirroring back to you what you persistently believe to be true. Stop waiting for external proof. Act as if you are already blessed with everything. Walk, talk, and think from the state of fulfillment. Trust in the unseen process and allow your blessings to unfold effortlessly. What you desire is not coming, it is already here. Thank you.